This needs to be the most powerful testimony on earth for a reason. And it requires your attention and your help. So please, take the time to listen. At least do that. Okay? It's something that God's asking every person in the world to please take the time to listen carefully. Can you just respect the Father for a minute and his decision and his selections and not your own and know what's going on in your mind and what you think? Can you do that? Can you put your thoughts down and your opinions down and just take the time to listen carefully? You might learn something. You might actually learn something. The most powerful information on earth to get you through this. The crossover, the rebirth, the resurrection of humanity. I teach the resurrection with the most profound effect, the most profound results. Watch my platforms, look at my testimonies from my followers, listen to what they say, and you realize that perhaps you don't understand this. Perhaps you're missing the point. Perhaps they're learning something you're not. Perhaps the whole world's wrong. Think about it for a moment. Just think about things for a moment. Think outside the mind, not with the mind. Think instinctively. Follow your feelings. There are things you can relate to that will make sense to you. There are things that you can relate to that will make sense to you. So take the time for yourself. I have made 10 very critical videos with my history. And my history far outweighs any words I can express. My action speaks 1,000 times louder than my words. I left my mark on earth like no other human being on earth you've ever met in your life. And these are facts. Down to earth and honesty is the best policy. I create a reputation by word of mouth. I create my reputation by word of mouth and rose to the highest level with those tools, with a relationship with everybody, connected with everybody. More people had faith in me than any human being I've ever met in my life. More people had faith in me than any other human being I've ever met in my life. These are facts. A lot of people follow my footsteps and learn a lot from me to the highest levels. I made more than 250 people millionaires and a couple of thousand people extremely rich. Most of those people give away between 45 and 90% of their money to everybody around them, recorded with evidence. They take care of people in the streets, people suffering, people in and out of homes, in and out of jails, the ones that are most undesirable to the rest of the population. But we set the standards here in the underground world. We set the most highest standards the world's ever seen. The world's ever seen. From the street level, from the underground world, not from screens, not from ordinary civilization, not from normal people, or what you call normal. Maybe it's the other way around. Maybe I'm right and the whole world's wrong. Just maybe. Do you know me? Do you know who I am? Do you know where I come from? Do you know anything about me? Well, don't judge mentally then, to think that you know better from one video or two. You know nothing about me in real life. No one's qualified to judge me. No one even has those qualifications worldwide. You know why? I'm the biggest mastermind in the world according to the biggest think tank in a 34-year study. #1 worldwide. #1 worldwide by the biggest think tank in the world with the most powerful documents to back it up. In DNA research, I'm #1 with the most powerful documents and hospital records to back it up. I'm classified as a mastermind in the gatekeeper report. Number 1, gatekeeper of all the masterminds that can do things other people cannot do, such as mental telepathy, ESP, remote viewing, telekinesis, levitation, spoon bending, clock winding, folding space and time with deja vu, to predict the future and prevent what's going to happen. My book, The Testimony Drug Reborn, the book again, has become rock solid evidence that no man on earth can discredit. If any man discredits my book, they're mentally insane or possessed by a demon. Okay, possessed by voices in their mind, or don't have a care factor, or no faith. There's something wrong with these people. This book's become the solid evidence that no man on earth can discredit or debunk. It's impossible. What I predicted unfolded perfectly, on time. 7 peer reports, or 7 mastermind reports by the big think tank. I can do things no one can with remote viewing and deja vu to predict the future and prevent what's going to happen 7 times faster than they can think, with the most sophisticated knowledge and equipment. I stamped in Indian No.1 as 24 in 1984 in such a way they couldn't detect it with the most powerful equipment they had. Could not detect it with an X-ray machine. Could not detect it with an X-ray machine, which was impossible, or seemed to be impossible until I showed them how I did it. At the age of 32, I'm on the front page of King Vice and the front page of Brisbane Courier Mail, Sunday paper, in real life. Front page, the whole page. The whole front page on a Sunday paper. 1993, I'm on 17 current affairs shows as a mastermind of loopholes of laws and manipulation. I can unravel everything in the whole system. In the whole system. I can unravel everything about court jargon, the courtrooms, and having set up manipulation through the whole scientific setup. Every single thing in your system, and through Rockefellers and the educated knowledge with consciousness and mental event and mental process and illusion imagination, I can describe every single thing in your body, in your DNA, how everything's set up, and how it goes into corruption, collusion in your body cells. Okay? You're a genius from 0 to 7. Your body aura in your cells is perfect from 0 to 7. You can mastermind your own mind and mastermind a computer game between 3 and 7, 7 times faster than I can with the highest IQ people in the world. You're a genius and an outside influence with your 6th sense. Then you go to school to get programmed into your 5 senses. With voice mind, you get mentally institutionalized. By the time you're 18, you think your parents are dinosaurs, and you lie to your kids about the boogeyman, the monster of the bed, because you're possessed by it, deliberately. With all those voice mind, that's ultimately scientific extinction, declared by Jeremy Cruz, 45,000 teachers, and 16,000 top scholars in the world. Most powerful declaration in the world. You're anti-clockwise. And 98.7% is an abolished reliability in your aura, in their body cells, anti-clockwise. 1.3% is clockwise. No mental disorders, no DNA defects. The rest has 1,000 to 7,000 defective genes in every single one of them, every Westerner. Now, 77% of their children are born with chronic diseases. Mental disorders and DNA defects going through the roof. Stress, fear, anxiety, confusion, frustration, delusion, and paranoia. As we're going to 6 mass extinctions, stripping the 6th sense for the 6th time. That's not a joke. It's reality that people can't face and avoid it every day. A species in denial in 98.7%. Sorry, 95%. They're beyond the point of return. We can no longer change mankind from the way he thinks and the way he judges unnaturally, okay, on reverse psychology engineering, with atheism, anti-clockwise, with evolution mutation, and artificial intelligence and the grammar they select themselves. They do not know what they do in their mind. They can use 7 to 15% of their brain. I can use 100%. I'm the biggest mastermind in the world. I use 100%. So when I deal with people using 15% with the highest IQ, I think they're idiots. Because they are idiots, because I'm right and the rest of the world's wrong. And I've gone through that my whole life. I was always right, always criticised, always thrown in the basket as a weirdo or a freak of nature my whole life. But I knew at 5 years old when I told my mum about the worst moment in her life in 1945 in World War II, 15 years before I was born. When she told me I was dreaming, I knew she was crazy. I was right from 5 years old. She was crazy when she said I was dreaming and couldn't deal with the moment herself. Because it's the worst moment in her life in 1945 World War II. And she couldn't deal with it. There had nothing wrong with me. Nothing wrong with me at 5. I knew what I was talking about. I have my genetic memory and my genetic process with my ancestor tools the minute I come into this world. And putting up with humanity that's anti-clockwise is unbelievable. When they do not know what they do and they do not know what they're missing out on. They've got no idea. My whole life I was rejected. My whole life I was rejected by the majority. They're anti-clockwise. That sits on the screen all day like Hollywood spinners and American dreamers, actors all over the world. But they're not real people. And you merely resonate with the same people because you're the same. You follow your mind. You're not following the tree of life. You're not following your spirituality. You're disconnected from it. Your third eye is a picture that tells your third words going to lie to you. Dimensional thinking, remote view, mental telepathy, ESP, deja vu, predict the future, prevent what's going to happen, and it doesn't work. So your clockwise thinking and thinking outside the mind is 100% your brain doesn't work. You've got no spirituality, only mentality, trapped in a personality. And the whole world's trapped inside their personality, inside their mentality, with grammar that they select and don't even know any better. Now it's very confronting. But you know, I was the one that hacked the hub in 1997 and exposed the documents that Dealing the Same got locked up for. That was us in the underground world. And we told you under mind control. You didn't believe in us. You were told then. You were told in 1999, on the 27th September, on my birthday, that you're crazy and going anti-clockwise. And you're going into a 6 mass extinction, stripping the 6th sense for the 6th time. And the crossover between 220 and 227 on the New York Climate Clock 2-minute video on YouTube. You'll see it yourself. The end date is 227 and 27 September. Exactly 2,000 years from the date that Christ was baptized by John. 27 September 227. That represents the Holy Spirit, Divine Light, 27, Book of Revelation 27. And Scars for Justice. And you're declared posthumous stage 1 revelation in 99 on 27 September. The last human being born on earth will be born before posthumous stage. He'll be the witness. He'll leave his mark on earth. He'll write the book that unfolds believers perfectly. He will teach the resurrection of humanity and protect the elect. He was born the 27th September 1960 with DNA studies done, and it's me. I'm the witness. I'm the most powerful whistleblower and witness in the world. The most powerful whistleblower and witness in the world, with the most powerful declarations, and all these biblical prophecies land on my date of birth. All of them. And they represent the Holy Spirit, Divine Light, and Scars for Justice. 1960 Metal Rat, the King of all kings. I'm a metal conductor, 27. Okay, the second witness is a woman, Mary, the Pillar of Salt. 84, Lilu, the fifth element. 84 and 27. These are the two witnesses, the two candlesticks, the two olive trees. It starts with a man and woman, and it'll finish with a man and woman. You do not know who we are, because you don't know our primordial beings. You only know our vessels and our personality and what gram I select. But I'm not in control of this vessel. I'm the son of Christ with that genetic memory, son of David, son of Abraham, with that genetic memory. And that's the selection that the Father made. And you do not believe in it. The witness says, I will come for my bride in the wedding. And the two witnesses be worldwide on mainstream media. That was on the 27th of July, 222. Me and Marin, 84 and 27. That stands for the Mother and the Father. These vessels came from heaven to earth. Okay? We don't have fathers. Recorded with events. We came from heaven to earth. We don't have fathers. Both of us. So we were worldwide mainstream media when Tour de France, right, won in Denmark. You'll see it on our video we put up many times on our post. We walk out of Times Square in Denmark in front of 7,000 cameras 1 minute before they interview the guy who won Tour de France in Denmark. 7,000 cameras. And we walk straight out the front, the wedding and the bride, with a certificate, marriage certificate in my hand, in a red envelope. And then I wave to the audience. And I say, thank you for coming to my wedding. 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 Repetition is wisdom and knowledge. Repetition is wisdom and knowledge. Repetition is wisdom and knowledge. Because I can't get through your thick skull. Because I can't get through your thick skull. Because I can't get through your thick skull. So we were mainstream on that day, 27 July 2022. I told you I will move the world's biggest army the world's ever seen, 250 million. I moved 335 million with Extinction Rebellion in 2019 and shut every capability down worldwide. The biggest army you've ever seen, the Extinction Rebellion that stood against the sixth mass extinction, stripping the sixth sense for the sixth time, while you didn't care, while you were declared a species in 2003, okay, with delusional parasitosis, that's now riddled with parasites in 98.7% with voltage reliability, anti-clockwise, parasites, cancer, black cosmocardis, and disorders, a hostile entity, the boogeyman. You see it in the movie The Green Mile, right? Okay, the black fellow represents Christ in his true size, with the holy breath of life, always in ragged clothes, wrapped in chains, accused of what Westerns are guilty for. And he pulls the nefarious right out of Tom Hanks, the nicest person. He pulls the boogeyman right out of Tom Hanks, the nicest person. Because you're controlled by the boogeyman, the monster of the bed, and your parents lied to you. Then you go to school to be mentally institutionalized and reverse engineering. And then you can't use your sixth sense anymore. You can only use your five senses, and that's what you live in 95 to 99% of the time, in your mind, in mentality. Okay, and you can't master your mind. So who masters your mind? The boogeyman does. The voices inside your mind. The voices ultimately sign from extinction that sounds heavenly, like Christ's consciousness that doesn't exist. It's mentality. And that's your reality, your mentality. 5 senses negative fields, without any genuine moral guilt and shame, as you normalize what was moral yesterday non-stop and keep twisting the paper truth from generation to generation. And now you lost your genetic process and your 24th chromosome in dormancy. You can see it in cellular research. You live in 23 chromosomes, the seed of the dragon, the one you're warned about in the Bible. And now you live in reptilian mentality, like you're warned about in the Bible, like Christ said. You do not know what you're doing here. You're like a dead corpse because you've got no aura. Your body sends corruption, illusion, and work against you. So you die prematurely from stress-related diseases because you followed Noah and a drunken family. That took away your universal language and put you in nations with confusion and frustrations, with delusional parasitosis. And that was deliberately done, okay, with your religious, political behavior and your New Age cults and your argumentative behavior and your self-centered ego because you live of the age and nefarious. You know why? Because you live with reasoning. Okay, you believe in your own truth, you manifest your own truth, and you be a competitive person. And you couldn't care less because you haven't got any feelings. You can't feel the truth anymore. You follow your mind, not feelings. You come to your conclusion with your mind. And that's nefarious because it's 5 senses in negative fields. So it doesn't matter what you think or how critical you think about it. You cannot do what I can and more. You cannot think instinctively and think outside the mind and mastermind your 100% brain like you see in the movie Limitless with Brett Manor, the drug we developed across Australia to bring people back in the bumhole state and took down the highest debt time healthcare and minds and misminds for 30 years. And the officers, our arresting officers commends me because I put a mark on earth here and brought down the highest debt time healthcare and minds and domestic violence for 30 years. So kids did not get taken off the parents and go home to get raped and bashed and become suspicious prostitutes later under the marketing strategy, right, with the chaos documents, by law and order documents put in by the Rockefellers to make chaos in your body cells when you go to school. And then you go into chaos throughout your life without even believing it because you don't believe in it. You believe yourself. You decide to do that. Do what you're told. Go to work, pay the bills. Do what you're told. And have to support by the system. Have to be supported by the system. And the system's got you by the balls with greed, power, temptation, money, and material things control every aspect of your life. Okay? And the other warning was modern technology with modern gadgets with images. And you're trapped in images 8 hours a day on average with radio waves and principality in the pound in the air that controls you. And that's how you've been controlled by mind control for 100 years. And they've inverted your placebo effect with a faith dogma in 1920 with 5 inflection points be ended and executed by 220. And they did it perfectly in 98.7% of the population. And then you went a 7-year lane with a zombie apocalypse. And you went far left, far right. And you conquered, debate, divide with your own family members and friends. The most. And you got no codependent relationship with anyone. Or any real faith in anyone. You got no soulmates. Take a good look at yourself. Take a look at life around you. Take a look at your own backyard. How many genuine relationships you really have? How many stages in your life? Huh? How many genuine relationships with codependent feelings that you have full faith in? How many do you really have in your life? Genuinely. I had hundreds. I had thousands. Look at you today. It's a joke. It is a pathetic, disgusting joke. 98% of people sit on the screen 8 hours a day average. Same 98% you see outside. Can't connect with humanity anymore. Just talk crap. Small talk conversations. No one can have an intellectual conversation. You can't go deep on any subject with nearly anybody. Everybody divides with their own opinions, obsessed with themselves, and possessed with their own opinions. You can't even talk to people. Pastors, preachers, and teachers, and Christianity and New Age, you cannot even reach them if you try. They all live in their own narrative, to one degree or another, in their own rabbit hole, in their own comfort zone. Everybody does. One way or the other. They don't understand the crossover. They don't understand the rebirth, because the mind does not understand. The mind's not developed to understand. It's undeveloped. It cannot understand. It's limited to the maximum. To the maximum. The highest IQ people in the world do not know what they do, nor does anybody else. That's why they're suffering from stress, fear, anxiety, confusion, frustration, delusion, and paranoia. Because the whole world's delusional on reverse psychology engineering, and they can't face the fact of how deep this gets from generation to generation. But it's a lot deeper than they're willing to take on. So they can't get through it because they're using all the wrong tools. And when they continue to reach out for the wrong tools, they'll never get there because they don't know how to. They don't know how to. But we teach it with the most powerful confirmation on earth and the most powerful results. And it's a confirmation you need with the results so you can feel it yourself. We bring you through the crossover. And the only ones that does. In the middle of 220, 227, you'll see a supernova. Brightest star in the sky, and you'll see 2 moons. Last year, on the 1st of October, there's 2 moons. On the 27th of September, on my birthday, there's a supernova, Jacob's star, supernova. Danial 9:27, middle of 7, Jacob's trouble, Jacob's star, supernova. 2 powerful prophecies, 3 in a row. 144,000 orbs of light, stars within the stars, came from heaven to earth. All over the world. You saw it yourself. Checkmate. Checkmate. Believe it or not. Put out nuclear warheads. Stop the military. Stop AI. There's nothing they can do. They just lie. They're doing everything they can in their power, but it's over. They haven't got open hell. They haven't got open hell. They already know. I come with the most powerful confirmation with folding space and time, with instantaneous events, with with CCTV, in the biggest, most powerful security system in the world. In 2017, they know. I fold space and time and stop the whole system. Like that. That's what God done. In the most powerful confirmation on earth. You see that in these 10 videos. You can go and study yourself. You can FOI the documents and look with your own eyes. The most powerful confirmation on earth that God does exist. And God created the most powerful confirmation recorded by border security and the biggest think tank in the world. They've got the documents and it's not being suppressed. I promise you, the head of border security in Australia changed his whole face and came in with a pastor, with a chaplain. And believe me, it's not suppressed. But nobody cares. Literally, no one cares. Literally, the most powerful confirmation ever created in modern history was CCTV, border security, the biggest think tank, the all-seeing eye, and most sophisticated security system in the world. Confirmed. Most powerful document on earth. In real time. Okay, by atheists, by border security, and by the system. And he changed his mind and came with the pastor and had a divine intervention in that moment. So did the pastor. It shocked them and they were speechless, dumbfounded in ways you've never seen before in your life. It wasn't the first time I created that. I've done it my whole life. I leave people speechless and dumbfounded. Wherever I go. Speechless and dumbfounded. Wherever I go. And they're speechless when I create a laboratory glass that took down a 14-hour process down to 3.5 that no scientist professor ever thought of. And the most powerful enlightenment drug on every testing center that brought people back in the primal state. They call it bread, man in the Bible. Christ and Moses used it. And I developed it to prove to you that under mind control. With the most powerful confirmation on earth in the biggest DNA study ever done. And the biggest mental health research ever conducted by Jeremy Givers and the top scholars in the world on the same page with the book Freedom, the book of life. DNA, the book of life. The cure of the human condition that's going to save humanity. Hail to be the Holy Grail of life. Most powerful confirmation on earth with my DNA, and my DNA is the book of life. I can do everything Christ can and more with the most powerful confirmation on earth. I brought some of my back to life with peer reports, CCTV, and the most powerful poem written in 2003, the one and only. It's not a joke. It's reality. In 2012, I went through a strange phenomenon. I went through a transformation for 3.5 years. One I cannot explain, you really understand. But a powerful one. More powerful than you can begin to imagine. On the 26th of February 2016, I'm sitting down with 2 top scholars in the world, 2 top professors and 2 top biologists in a secret meeting for 6.5 hours. I'm primordial being number 1 worldwide in every study done. What would you do if you were me? With the most powerful confirmation on earth, the most powerful biblical signs, the most powerful mastermind in the world, the most powerful divine intervention ever recorded in history, the most powerful genetic process and genetic repair kit in my own DNA. DNA, the book of life. Imagine being in my footsteps and you're told for 6.5 hours with more than 50 meters of documents and studies done on you for 34 years and 16 years of DNA evidence in the biggest mental health research and biggest study ever done in human history. And you are one of a kind. You are the only one. The next day, the very next day on the 27th of February, my son's birthday, grandson's birthday, sorry. I woke up that morning feeling unbelievable, didn't know how to take this on board. Couldn't deal with this when I was told. I read the Gatekeeper report from the Mastermind reports, right, from the biggest think tank, the Star Chamber Inquiry by shadow governments. Most powerful document ever developed. I read the Gatekeeper report, a document about myself and an in conclusion, a statement of facts in a 34-year study, a full comprehensive document of every single thing, psychiatry reports, medical reports, the whole lot, every single possible thing you can know about a person in 34 years. It goes right back from the day I was born with hospital records, when I was drowning buds up at 2 years old. It goes all the way back. But the study in the Mastermind report starts in 1984. 1984. The important part is this. The most critical part. I've become the biggest whistleblower ever recorded in history. In the Star Chamber Inquiry itself in 1999. And I got them for treason and shut them down. And 40 cops retired the police force and stood on my side and commenced me in the affidavit. Okay, that's important to you. People retired the force everywhere. And of course, the Royal Commission bang out for 23 years for people being raped and bashed and going home to get raped and bashed and become prison prostitutes later. 23 years been paid out. Still paying out to this day. Many followers here being paid out and have been paid out. Royal Commission and the Stolen Big Generation, right, being paid $250 billion today by worldbank.org. That steals all your capitalism and all your money. When you froze your money in 1980, so much that you never have to work more than 10 hours a week or 20 hours a week by 220, and no one would ever suffer property again. Then they did a transfer of wealth, and the elite stole your money and all your capitalism. And all your money under the UN goes to worldbank.org, and that's where they all lend money from. America, China, the whole lot, right? It's not lent money, it's a lie. They take all your capitalism from your tax departments, Department of Finance, into one bank, and they lend the money from the same bank. They lie to you. They spent $37 trillion from 1980 to 2007 and collapsed your bank with underground tunnels and the all-seeing eye and mind control weapons. Okay, the World Wide Web. Okay, that's what they've done. And they executed their plan in 220, in mind control. Believe it or not, they executed their plan in 220. The sewing machine shuts down, last run was 224, shuts down 227. They have executed and done the plan. Satan done the plan. The biggest soul trap in human history is not about flesh and blood. But that's what people believe in. They only care about death, stress, fear and anxiety, confusion, frustration, because they only think about themselves and their psychological mental behavior and their personality, trapped inside the mind, right? In a soul trap. The biggest mentality and soul trap in human history. And they don't even know. They don't even believe in it because they don't feel things anymore. They haven't got an aura. When they haven't got an aura, they can't feel. They can only feel 5% of their capacity. They don't have an aura. They don't have their feelings to feel the atmosphere. Right? And what gives them the power? What gives them the abilities, right, to command nature? The divine power to command nature. They wouldn't have a clue. Haven't got an idea. Don't even know what they're doing. They think they do, but grandma won't get them out of this, nor with their religious political behavior or the New Age cults. Because it's not the mind. It's the mind that's got them. They're trapped in consciousness, and they say it worldwide, high consciousness, which is a mental event, a mental process of illusion, imagination, and they nominate themselves because that's the EMP they're in their mind. They're not in the attuned codependent power with a relationship. And when they don't have a relationship with the two-way streets, they do not know what they do because they're not connected with the influence in their reality in the most positive fields, in 27 biofields. Their biosphere doesn't even work. They haven't got dimensional thinking. They're not in the primordial state. They're not in the Christ image, not even remotely close. We teach people to cross over and go back in the primordial state with the most powerful confirmation on earth and the most powerful divine intervention you will ever feel in your life. My book unfolds with evidence perfectly. The next day, it's a beautiful day in Perth, Sinjin. I'm being unlawfully deported to Denmark. And this is what happens. And you need to pay attention now. Very dramatic attention. I was a criminal in the underground world. I did 10 years in prison. I died in 2012. Clinically dead for 23 minutes. I was paralyzed from the neck down, told I never walk again, got up and walked down in 45 minutes. Limped around my right hand leg for 3.5 years. Then going to study, being deported to Denmark. And in this study, they called me for this top secret meeting. They tell me I can fix my leg myself. I've been living on it for 3.5 years. They said it's true. I was paralyzed. I died for 23 minutes. And I thought it was a misdiagnosis. So did the doctors when I got up and walked out. Obviously. So I was trapped in my mind to that moment, no matter what, because of everybody else. Always criticised me, always putting me down, and always rejecting me. I was the most rejected. I was in Perth Detention Centre, and my whole family's rejecting me and turning on me. Everybody's turning on me. Everybody. I was in the worst moment of my life. After doing 10 years in jail, that was enough. I lost all my family members and friends when I was in jail. I found out who my friends really are. I come out of jail and I knew the whole world was peace. I could feel the truth. They couldn't. I was scared. After 10 years in prison, I come out, I was terrified. I knew people were just mental and personalities and did not know what they were doing. I could feel the truth. They couldn't feel any truth at all. They just argued, debate and abide. Family broke up everywhere, sitting on screens all day. Polarised in an hypnotized state. Couldn't have an intelligent conversation anymore. Polarised in the screen so bad, they couldn't even function like human beings anymore. And it scared me. The atmosphere was collapsed when I came out of jail. And I knew it was right. But then I had to readapt back in the cave, back into here again. Because when I came out of prison on the time where time says their life preserves, and in the cycle of life of 7 years in prison, you go back in the same primordial state, same as 0 to 7, and readapt, and start to use the wonderful God-given gift that God gave you, to think instinctively and think as the mind. So I come out of jail full of confidence in my primordial state, after living the time where time says their life preserves, in prison, where natural selection takes place and everyone's equal, where you learn to love your enemies as much as your neighbour, and 3 meals a day, same clothes, and no system. And that's where people take you under the wing, like a family environment. And you've got to kick along with things and respect one another. And that's when you go deep in your sorrow, when you lose everything else and lose your family lovers and friends and everything you got. And you're right in there, dwelling on all your misery, in moral guilt and shame for 7 years of your life. Then you break free from the moral guilt and shame. After judging yourself for 7 years non-stop, okay, that's what you're doing. You dwell on things for 7 years in a dirty, filthy pit stop, and all you want to do is go home. But after 7 years, it has a massive infliction point where you realise everything outside doesn't matter because no one cared. And inside you got more family and more friends and more loyalty, more honour and more respect from people in jail than you ever had outside in your whole life. And you discover that in jail in 7 years, that you have more loyalty, honour, respect, moments, inspiration, encouragement in people around you in jail than you ever had in your whole life. And everyone else is gone. And that's daunting. But then you realise you're in a time which time since life preserves, and this is your home. You're not in a dirty field for pit stop. You're probably the best place in the world you ever could be. The most unbelievable place that taught you the greatest lesson of your life when you were mentally institutionalised and you didn't know what you're doing. But when you go back to Pomona State, you find freedom in prison from outside. You find freedom in prison you cannot find outside because you become mentally institutionalised at school with Bush mind that controls you. And then you come to prison and in a cycle life of 7 years, you go back to your Pomona State, the same as you to 7. And then you begin to explore that wonderful gift, the wonderful God gift that God gave you when you come into this world. But now you're back in Pomona State, and we learn in 7 years in prison, in the big smell research, that after 7 years, you start to preserve DNA and start to go clockwise, right? So your aura goes clockwise in DNA. So prison and here an environment where time stands still, life preserves, and natural selection takes place, you start to go clockwise automatically in your DNA, the self-preservation mode for life. And that's because you're back in Pomona State. And they're not telling you this, but that's what happens in jail. You go back in your Pomona State, the same as 2 to 7, and wow, what an experience. But then you go outside and everyone's stuck in the cave, mentally institutionalized in negative fields, and you're in the most positive fields. They think you're crazy, but you're full of what? Meth, enlightenment, the sacred secretion, right? You're full of confidence, clarification. You know what you're doing. You got more confidence than ever. Then you come outside, no one's got any confidence. They just argue, debate, and divide, and want to control their narrative with psychological behaviour and can't even have an intellectual conversation. And they've got no aura. Their aura's collapsed. And you can feel it. Their aura's gone. They're just negative people, just personalities. Just want to argue, debate, and divide and live in their own truth, manifest their own truth, and whatever they're doing. And you can feel it. You can feel the truth. 10 times more powerful. So when you come outside, the only way you can go back into society is to go back in your mind. You've got to communicate with them. And it starts to do your head in. So I got put through a process, and then I died for 23 minutes and went for a massive transformation for 3.5 years for a reason. And then got told on these documents I'm the only one. But I still had a problem in here myself because of the system, right? Because of the long dark cave, because of coming back outside. Okay, and I did not know what I was doing. And then they told me I could fix my leg myself. So I did it in a heartbeat. They gave me faith I could do it myself and told me I wasn't wrong. I was always right. I did it myself. I walked up that table and I was dead and I was powerless my neck down, and I did get up myself with a Neuralink test and DNA. And so I get up and I fix my leg myself, and it becomes a confirmation I can do it myself. Wow, what a feeling to learn that you can do it yourself, that you can do it yourself. You just don't have the faith to do it yourself. The next day I feel like feeling unbelievable, incredibly magnificent. I've never felt so beautiful in my life. After the worst moment of my life, after 3.5 years of transformation, and I did not know what was going on. Okay, I'm going into different dimensions, different timelines, and I don't know what's going on. I'm going through a transformation I cannot explain in a way you really understand. But then I sit down for this meeting, and boompa, boompa, boompa. Holy crap. And then it's happened. The next day, an orb of light comes straight in my room, a min light from the outback of Australia, with a relationship. And I felt a relationship. I felt love pouring all over me. I thought, wow. I felt love pouring all over me. And then a guy named Fabian getting deported to Argentina without any system, and no family, no friends, with 55 IQ. He was shit scared, and he was just got told he's going to Argentina. He comes running in my room, shit scared, 8 o'clock in the morning, 8:30 in the morning. And he's shit scared. He said, Kim, can you help me with a lawyer? I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to get deported to Argentina. I've got no family, friends there, man. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't have any history. I haven't got any work stuff. I've got no trade. Can you help me, Kim? And I couldn't help him. I was being deported unlawfully myself, right? And I didn't even know at this time, but I was about to find out. And an orb of light comes in broad daylight. This orb of light just comes straight behind me. And then I put my hand on Fabian's shoulder and said, don't worry, Fabian, you're going home to your mum. And I'm thinking, what am I doing, man? Why would I tell him that? I've got no control of this. But I didn't have control of myself. This is what happened. I put my hand on his shoulder. I said, don't worry, Fabian, go home to Mum. Fabian goes home. 11 months later, he goes home to his mum. Argentina refused to take him back, and that usually doesn't happen. But it happened in this case, and he went home to his mum. I'm told to write 3 official letters on this day. That if I get unlawfully deported, God's going to put me the toughest spatial recognition in the world. He's going to send me for the toughest spatial recognition in the world. He's going to send me back to see my mum and brother and create the most powerful confirmation on earth. And he did. He literally did. I wrote the 3 documents to border security, immigration, and governments. I got unlawfully deported. I got a 6-page warning letter in Denmark. A 2-hour meeting. I cannot go anywhere under facial recognition. I go back. I landed my son's birthday, the 27th of January, 2017, 11 months later. On these 2 birthdays, 27 and I'm 27. Just think about it for a moment. Because I want to tell you something. I want to tell you something completely different in the story. When Fabian left, we had to talk a couple hours later. He just ran out. He was happy as Larry from being shit scared. And it was a hell of an inflection point. He just went, oh, Kim, don't tell anyone, no one will ever believe it. And just ran out of the room, man. And I'm thinking, what's going on here? Excuse me. Excuse me, guys. I'm thinking, what's going on here? What just happened? What the hell just happened here, man? And I'm wide awake. I'm feeling fantastic. I'm feeling the most powerful relationship I've ever felt in my life. I felt love all over me. And there's no other way to explain this, right? I was high as a kite, man. Naturally high, so high, right, going through this experience. So I lie down in my bed, right? I'm reminiscing. I'm just like, wow, right? I'm just lying down in my bed in broad daylight. I closed the door to be alone. I really did, right? I just want to be alone. I thought, what just happened, man? What's going on? I'm feeling something I've never felt before in my life. I'm feeling the glory of love pouring over me. I'm feeling a relationship so powerful. I've never felt nothing before like it in my life. But there's one thing I remember. I remember when I was 5 years old, the boogeyman came to see me on a nightly basis and scared the living shit out of me. And I remember one night, an orb of light came in and saved me. And it was the same thing I just saw with Fabian. I was shit scared of the boogeyman. The boogeyman came in on a nightly basis and stared right into my face because I could see him. The shadow, the angelic being. And then an orb of light came in and I was like, wow. And what I felt at the time as a child at 5 years old and innocent, what I felt was, it's the Father. And the Father scared me and he brought his Son. And his Son saved me and come to play with me and he played me for a while. And I remember something. When I died in a bathtub at 2 years old, I had no memory from this. But I found out from my mum after 50 years that she didn't tell me the truth. When she told me the truth, right, it happened on the same day. The day I came from the international airports, I went home to see my mum and my brother, Yan. Yan died in the Kempsey bus section where 20 people died. Okay? Kathy was the last one that came to say goodbye to me out of 19 people on the front page paper by Dr. Wright. And what did Kathy say to him after he flatlined and came back after a 3.5-week coma? He was in a ward next door, and 19 people came to say goodbye to him. And Dr. Wright and the head of the Queensland Mental Health Board, they were there monitoring this, and they wrote a big article in the paper in the Courier Mail. Kathy said the other 18 were lost and getting one more final chance. The driver went in the abyss, and she's the only one that made it. Yan didn't talk to me, and we were close for 27 years. Okay, I told my mum the worst moment in her life in 1955, World War II. Okay, I said, Mum, where were we? What happened? So it was me. And she said I was crazy when I knew I was not crazy, she was. And I was right, and she was telling me a fib. And I was trying to find out what's going on as an innocent child. I said, Mum, where were we? What happened? We're sitting in the cellar, and I'm shit scared, Mum, and you're shit scared, and there's bombs outside. Where were we? What happened? And Mum didn't tell me the truth, but I knew. I was right. The same day, on my grandson's birthday, I go through the international airports in Brisbane, the 6th event. I'm not on one camera. Every other passenger is. There's not a glitch in the system. I'm on CCTV outside, and the border security, the JP that stamped my passport in Brisbane International Airport, he stamped my passport, and he said, in a conversation that we had, I told him I was coming in to look at XYGTs that I was working with, muscle cars, the old Ford muscle cars. He said, I'm a Ford man too. I own a red GTO Mustang, and it's fully confirmed by border security. And I'm on CCTV outside 1 minute later on the platforms and getting on the trains on CCTV and all the trains, on every station, in every event, but I'm not on cameras inside. Think about that for a moment. There's not a glitch in the system. The most powerful confirmation by border security, fully confirmed. That day I go home to see my mum and my brother, that day, the same day. And it's exactly 27 years later to the day that Kathy told my brother about the 18 people who lost getting one more final chance, and she's the only one that made it, and they're over in the abyss. On the 27th of January, 1990. He was in a coma for 3.5 weeks after the accident on the 22nd of December, 1989. 3.5 years in a coma, 10 days later, this all happened, and that gets into that date, 27 September, 1990, when Kathy said goodbye and told Yan about the other 18 being lost and getting one more final chance because they were trapped in a reincarnation trap with amnesia and didn't know what they were doing. And God created this in the most powerful confirmation in a massive miracle that stopped Australia, the Kempsey bus accident. It was a huge event. And Dr. Wright was the first heart and lung surgeon in the world, right, with his own ward in the top of the PA hospital. And he was the one that wrote the article, he was an atheist, and changed his whole mindset as well. And I want you to know something. Border security flew up from Melbourne, came in with the pastor Sarah in Brisbane Detention in 2017, February and March 2017. Go check it out. She had a divine intervention over here, and they came walking together. He didn't have any screws around him. And he changed his whole mindset as well, with the most powerful confirmation that he wrote down himself. And he was white as a ghost, speechless, gobsmacked and dumbfounded. And I'll tell you something. When this all happened, okay, in the detention now, on my grandson's birthday, I lay down on the bed, right? And I'm lying there. And I'm just, wow, what's really going on here, right? And all these events take place. And my mum first tells me that I was in fact drowned in the bathtub at 2 years old. And I never knew. But I remember dying and going into another dimension. I don't remember dying here in my vessel, but I remember going into time where time stands still, and that's how I found out and saw it through Mum's third eye in the worst moment that she had. In 1945, World War II, it was then, and that's where it came from when I died. That's how I knew. I saw it through her eyes, as if it was me, and I felt what she was feeling. In that moment when I died, it came back to me. And that's what the Father said. You will find out when you go and see your mum that she's been lying to you all her life for 50 years, Kim. And so is your brother. Your brother hasn't been talking to you because you were sent back from heaven to earth because of you, Kim. And your mother lied to you for 50 years, Kim. And that's why you know about this moment. That's why you told your mum about the worst moment of her life, okay? Because when you died, Kim, at 2 years old, I sent you back from heaven to earth. And you didn't want to come back, Kim. Do you remember that? I remember that. I remember that I was scared and I didn't want to come back again. I didn't want to come back again. My celestial primordial being, my spirit did not want to come back again. And I remember that part. I didn't want to come back again. I didn't want to do this again. And that's the only thing I tell you, that I felt that. And I remember that I didn't want to come back. But the Father said I had to come back. And he showed me, right? He showed me the past and the future with a lot of things. And he showed me a lot of things. And that's why I came back like this. And that's why I was like this 5 years old onwards. I'm the son of Christ, son of David, son of Abraham. I've got that genetic memory. And I want to tell you something. I'm lying down in my bed and I'm like high as a kite with this orb of light. And it comes right up next to me and turns into a porthole. And then, you know, when people die and cross over and come back, they tell you stories about how beautiful it is on the other side and they don't want to come back. Okay, they get a clarification. They feel more love than ever. I've been dead 3 times, right? I've been chronically dead 3 times. Now I'm wide awake in this beautiful moment. And the orb of light comes right down to me and boom far. I'm lifted right out of my shell while I'm wide awake. I'm just lying there in the most beautiful moment and feeling so unbelievable, like feeling a light pouring over me. I'm feeling unbelievable. The greatest moment of my life, the best feeling I've ever had in my life. And I'm just, wow. And then I'm taken right out of my vessel into a porthole, into another dimension where everything is perfect. In this moment, I'm in this beautiful place that's so unbelievable. You can't express it in any words that are good enough. The most powerful clarification, the most powerful feelings, the most powerful sensitivity, the most powerful love, the most powerful everything. Everything. Your vision's like X-ray vision. I can see right into the water, through the water, into the sand in the bottom of the water. I could see in the sand and see little pebbles from a distance. I could see into the trees and see all the sap inside the trees and all the veins. And it's like it's connected to all things in life. And everything was connected to me with pure love, with a relationship with all things, right? All things in life, a universal connection, a universal codependent relationship. I'm feeling it. So powerful. I've never felt something so powerful in my life. Okay? I'm in there in a time where time sensitivity preserves. I'm pulled right in my vessel, but I'm there for ages, man. I'm there for a long, long, long time. And going through this path, okay, I'm showing pictures that tells you 1,000 words. I'm seeing the visions from the past, the future. I'm seeing everything about my life. I'm revising my whole perception about everything I come to learn. Every single thing about my life. I'm going through every single thing you could begin to imagine, plus more and some. And I'm feeling it. Sorrow, guilt, shame. Okay? Why things are the way they are. What's going on in the world. And why I was chosen like this, and why I'm the only one, and I'm the only one of a kind, and I'm the only one chosen like this, with the most powerful confirmation on earth. I'm told why, and why I'm right, and why the rest of the world's wrong. And it's true. The most powerful confirmation was created, and the Father said to me straight away, Kim, you had a meeting for 6.5 hours yesterday. You have no doubt. You cannot possibly doubt. But I'm going to show you things that you're not aware of. I'm going to show you things in parallel worlds and different heavens. I'm going to show you all of them, Kim. I'm going to take you for a path through different dimensions and different fields. I'm going to show you different walks of life in different places. You're going to see friends there in the future in different places. And I'll take you to the high heavens. I'll take you all the way to the highest heaven. I'll take you through the transformation and to the most high heaven you'll ever see in your life. And you'll walk with me, son. And I'll tell you things that will come to you in the future. You will write the book that unfolds with heavens. The moons and stars will fall, and you will know about this. Danial 9:27 will happen on your birthday. The end date and the new climate clock will happen on your birthday, a 7-year countdown. You will know be 220 onwards. Okay, that's a transformation of 220. Okay, and a 27-year apocalypse. The 7-year crossover and 20 years of the 6 mass extinction strip and the 6 ends for the 6th time. As we go on a new timeline of 7-fold wisdom knowledge, and the time of deception collapses. And this is a 7-year crossover from 220, son. And you know it's 220 onwards. And you know that methamphetamine has everything to do with the vaccination with mRNA technology, the same particle. And you are working on godlike power abilities with red manna on every testing center, son. You know what red manna is that Moses used and Christ used because you developed that drug, son. You were the one in the gatekeeper report. You're the most wanted, son. With godlike power and godlike abilities in every study done. You're the one that developed red manna, the most powerful enlightenment drug in the world, the most powerful truth serum, son. And I developed you do this and go through this path and stand against the system and unearth the whole 9 yards. And you became the biggest mastermind report, son. You became the biggest mastermind at 34, son. You've done several things that no one's ever thought of, son. You developed glands that science never thought of. From a 14-year process down to 3.5. You developed the drug, son. The most powerful enlightenment drug, the most powerful truth serum, and you left your mark on earth, son, and caused the biggest adverse effects in the biggest amount of research and DNA study ever done, and Royal Commission paying for 23 years, and stolen big donation paying out $250 billion a day. You unearthed that the Star Chamber Coin was stealing taxpayers' money, son. That's what you got them for, corruption, coercion, collusion. That's why they shut down. You got them for tax treasoning and stealing taxpayers' money with over $47 million. You already know, Kim. You unearthed the documents back in 97, okay, and brought it to attention, where Jeremy gives the top holes in the whole world in 99, and species went into denial worldwide, son. They didn't care. You know that. You know what's happening, son. You know they're completely artificial human beings all over the world, and only actors, zombies and robots. They can only 7 to 15% of their brain. You can use 100%, Kim. I gave you the ability to use everything you got. And I kept you in tune, Kim, with universal power and folded space and time in international airports. And Kim, don't forget, you're the biggest car chase the world's ever seen in 2014 Ipswich Courtroom. Folding space and time with deja vu, right? And things they can't explain on CCTV for 4 months. They couldn't stop you with helicopters and also fatal ball teams. They couldn't do anything. They were speechless in the courtroom, Kim. 4 months of car chasing without anyone being hurt and not one accident, Kim. They were speechless. Remember, the judge didn't know how to deal with it. 4 months of CCTV, Kim. And then you put in a 747 with 55 officers with body cam. And they saw what happened there too. Nefarious got all of them. And you removed Nefarious, Kim. And they got on the plane. And they saw it with their own two eyes. With CCTV and body cam and dictaphones and 55 officers. There it is, son. No one can discredit you, son. No one can lie about you. Because all the biblical prophecies in the end date lands at your date of birth, son. 2,000 years when Christ was baptized by John. And time chapter 2:27 is who you are, son. 2,000 years when Christ was baptized by John to the day is the inflicted point of no return. And 27 is always been divine light, and that's who you are, son. You are 27, the witness that teaches the resurrection of humanity, because you know, son. You know how to resurrect humanity back in the primordial state to do everything Christ can and more in their own genetic process, in their own genetic memory. You're the one that knows, Kim, how to do that. You're the one that signed this. You're the most powerful DNA study. You are the one and only, Kim. And no one believes in you. But I'll put you through this. You're the one chosen, son. Who, me? No, I'm a criminal. I've been in jail and rejected by everybody. Believe me, I'm a pile of shit. I'm a scumbag. I'm a rejected person in society. You couldn't be me. I've never read the Bible. I've never gone to church. You can't be talking about me, could you? Son, you are the only one of a kind in the most powerful combination on earth, and no one can lie about you. Nobody can, son. You can't even lie. No one can. I've developed that way. You are the one. You're the son of Christ, son of David, son of Abraham with genetic process. That's the transformation you went through, son, that you couldn't understand. But now you know. Now you know through that transformation. Because when you were possessed in 2012, what happened, Kim? Kim died. You never became Kim again. You became someone else. When you were pushed out of your vessel with a body snatch, you took your body back, but you never let your personality and your mentality control you again, did you, Kim? You woke up from amnesia and the reincarnation trap and discovered who you are, why you're here, and what the meaning of life is. We're the most powerful combination on earth, son. You're the one. You write that book that unfolds from evidence perfectly, son. And that's now become the evidence. Solid. And God put me through a path. Okay? An amazing path. He showed me the future. He showed me the dimension we're going into. Where sevenfold wisdom lies, where we create heaven and earth. Wow. It's the greatest time to be alive. Once you're fully adapted back in the primordial state, back in your primordial state, back in your celestial primordial state, trust me, 10 times more power, 10 times more love, 10 times more everything, 10 times more clarification, and never confused or frustrated or anything ever again. No more suffering, no more death experience, no more suffering, no more death experience. And tell me, who doesn't want some of that? To go in a new timeline where time stands still like a search for 1,000 years to create heaven and earth with the most powerful confirmation, to grow 10 times more fruit with 10 times more nutritional value and bear the correct fruit and have all your abilities back where you're a mastermind of yourself and using 100% of your brain and never suffering mental disorders and DD effects ever again. No more suffering and no more death experience. Now tell me, who doesn't want some of that? And why wouldn't you? What's going on in here? You do not know what you're doing here. Trust me, when you cross over, right, through the rebirth and the crossover, wow, it's the greatest time to be alive, and it's not what you think. But to go back in your primordial state and the image you create into is the most amazing thing, right? Well, we have a kingdom waiting for us, and I saw that in deja vu into the future. And when I put people in the 40-day fast, what do they see? They see the future. And they get the most powerful confirmation they've ever had, and the most powerful love pouring all over them, and they learn the truth. And then they break free from the reincarnation trap, and they think differently. They think outside the mind, and they go back in the primordial state and back in the innocent like a child. And you know what? It's wow. And it leaves you gobsmacked and speechless. But believe me, things will come to you out of the blue, and you'll start to discover who you really are, why you're really here, and what the true meaning of life is. because it's unconditional love. It's a relationship. It's selflessness. It's innocence. And it's a relationship. Without that relationship, you're nothing. Trust me, I know. To release your vessel, to release your personality, to release your mentality, and to allow the spirituality to take control is the most amazing crossover and process. And you have no idea what you're doing and what you're suppressing. The mind is limiting you so much and got you in a trap. And you're trapped inside your mind in a reincarnation trap. When you break free from this, holy crap. And I do mean holy crap. Beyond the mind. And it's the greatest experience. And it's also the most daunting. And the mind starts to panic a bit because the mind doesn't know what it's doing. But you break free from it. And you go for a transformation and alter your genetic process with the book Freedom by Jim McGirr, held by 16,000 scholars of world on audio, the Holy Grail of Life, the DNA, the Book of Life. Freedom from the human condition that we can suffer from and taking free for Reborn. When I breathe the program is one and overrise to recreate the second secretion and the Holy Breath of Life. And trust me, this is the Holy Breath of Life and the Holy Book of Life. And these two tools alone will take you through this with a 40-day fast and don't eat, get off screens, take sick iron, magnesium, vitamin C, B12, salicylic salt and water, not too much. Drink plenty of liquid. Do not eat, get off screens, and isolate yourself. Disconnect from people. Don't argue, debate, and mind. Don't compare. Isolate yourself and don't eat. And you'll get rid of every natural selection and go through an inflection point where you break free and I'll take you out of your vessel into the light of the tunnel and you'll see it. And you'll get the most powerful confirmation as you go through the rebirth and the crossover. And believe me, it's not a pleasant experience, but it's a magnificent experience at the same time. It has a massive influence where you break free from the mind trap and your own personality and your own mentality and back in your primal state, back in your spirituality, and whoa, then it only begins the greatest journey of your life with a transformation. And trust me, you need to have patience and virtue. You go through a transformation, but from that moment, you're saved. You're saved. You have been saved, and you go in a new dimension by being in your primal state and being innocent and having that relationship. So work on this with meditation and when I breathe the program and the Holy Breath of Life. And listen to the book Freedom and go through this. And I promise you, you can't fail. Once you cross over, you cannot go back. You can never get deceived ever again. You never go back in your mind ever again. You live in your primordial state. And you control your business from the outside in and master your mind, use 100% of your brain. And it's not inside your mind. It's outside the mind. It's way over and above and beyond the mind. Like you see in the movie Limitless, he takes a drug, he gets a clarification. He comes out of his psychedelic effect, out of his mind, and goes into his brain, use 100%. And you can see the vortex of information with the universal language. And he writes a book that's brilliant overnight. And that's an ability you have. Trust me. That's a movie with propaganda. However, this is how it works. The light bulb idea is a picture that tells you the animals are going to lie to you. Dimensional thinking. And it starts an amazing process you've never used before in your life. With genetic memory and a genetic process and a great transformation that will come to you out of the blue. This is how the Father works. And this is the truth. And the only truth is going to set you free. Trust me. Watch my platform. Watch my followers and listen to their testimonies. They're learning. They're learning what you don't learn. With the most powerful confirmation and the most powerful love on earth. And that's the truth. And the only truth is going to set you free.